Hi and welcome back to our garden. My name's Fiona. Now I've been posting a series of videos showing the breeding season for our Buff Orpington chickens. Now, you may have seen the chicks and thought that this is for you and you'd like to give this a try yourself. So in that case, this video is for you. The first thing you're going to need are some fertilised eggs. If you have a cockerel running with your hens, great, you can actually use those eggs that you have. Now hopefully your cockerel's not firing blanks. How many you need is going to be dictated either by the size of your incubator or the size of the broody hen that you've actually got. Now broody hens on average will sit on 12 eggs at a time. So if I talk about 12 eggs all the way through this video, that's why, because we breed you using broody hens. If you don't have enough hens to provide you enough eggs on one day for the amount that you actually want to lay and incubate, and you want all those chicks to hatch on the same day, don't panic. It's fine. Eggs will stay viable for up to 2 weeks, providing they're stored at room temperature and they're not shaken a great deal. So when you collect them, you can just pop them in a basic cardboard box, such as this little cardboard egg box, and store them so the pointy end is down, which keeps the air bubble inside the egg at the top. But just don't move the box around. We stick them on the side in the kitchen. They're absolutely fine for a period of 2 weeks. Once you're ready, you can then lay them under your hen or inside your incubator. Now if you don't have a cockerel running with your hens, don't panic, all isn't lost. You can buy eggs through the post. And there's lots of breeders out there who have their own websites for selling fertilised eggs, but there's also eBay. There's a tremendous amount. There's all sorts of breeds on there that you could possibly buy, and there's also prelove.com plus lots of other websites available to you. They'll normally be sent to you in specialist polystyrene boxes. Once you get those eggs, they will have been shaken a lot through the courier or postage process. So pop them on the side and let them stay absolutely still for a period of at least 24 hours, which allows the air bubble to settle again at the top of the egg. Then you can lay them in your incubator or under your broody hen. Now let me take you on to the next stage. There are two main ways to incubate your eggs. You can either use a broody hen or you can use an artificial incubator. Neither's the wrong answer, and it depends heavily on your lifestyle and what suits you as to what is the right answer. So let me tell you about some of the pros and cons. Now, if you use a broody hen, there's some massive advantages. That's what we choose to do. And with the broody hen, they will regulate the temperature, humidity, and turn the eggs during the incubation process. But they'll also, once the egg is hatched and there is a chick, make sure that that chick eats, drinks, is warm and is dry all the way through till it's able to fend for itself. If you have existing hens or an existing flock, the broody hen will defend those chicks when they're not able to, when they're just not old enough to. So it makes integration much easier. The huge downside is that you've got to wait for a broody hen to go broody. It's a hormonal change in the brain and you can't speed up that process. They do it in their own sweet time and when they flipping want to. Now, if you go down the artificial incubator route, it's so much easier in terms of timing because you can select when to start the whole process. So therefore, when the eggs are going to hatch. Clearly, the downside is that you've got to care for those chicks as soon as they're hatched all the way through till they're old enough to fend for themselves. Depending on the incubator that you buy, you may also have to regulate the temperature, humidity and turning of the eggs, or all three, during the incubation process. Let me tell you a little bit more about the incubator choices out there. This is our incubator and it's a Brinsey Ovation 28 Advance. It will hold a maximum of 28 eggs. Now this incubator takes all the pain away. It regulates the temperature extremely well and it comes with high and low temperature alarms. As an advanced model, it can be programmed to allow the eggs to cool for 1 hour a day, which duplicates the action of the chicken leaving the nest for food and water. It has fully automated turning functionality. In terms of humidity control, it doesn't need calibration like the cheaper models. It senses and displays the humidity on the digital readouts on top of the incubator. Now, although we use Broody hens to incubate, as you can see we have 6 eggs in here right now. While it's not necessary to have an incubator, sometimes it is useful. This way we can run additional eggs in parallel to the Broody hen. In this case, this is for Gannet. Now Gannet is a small chicken and she struggles to cover a full clutch of eggs, so she gets 6 eggs and 6 go in the incubator. When they start to pip, they get returned to us, so they always hatch out underneath her. This way we maximise our hatch potential every single time. That's the Broody that we use. It's a fantastic incubator, but it does come at a price. Now it's great at regulating temperature, humidity, and the angle of turn on the cradles is absolutely superb. But what I want to do now is show you a much cheaper alternative, and that's this one. And we bought this from China and it was bought through eBay. It was, I think, only about £35, so it is incredibly cheap. Now it does regulate temperature. Humidity control is absolutely dreadful because you need to know your relative humidity of your air in your home before you even start the process, and the angle of turn for the eggs is significantly less than the Broody. So if you are using this motorized cradle here, you need to once a day go in and turn the eggs manually just to be on the safe side. But what we've found is that we use it for actually hatching the eggs themselves. That's because sometimes we have 2 clutches of eggs in the Broody which are due to hatch on different days. So 2 days before the eggs are due to hatch, they should stop being turned. They need to come out and be left flat so that the chick can find its own place in the egg to get ready for hatching. What we then do is we take this unit out of the incubator and use this as a hatchery. And it works absolutely brilliantly. This is Gannet in her brood coop. The wonderful thing about this coop is the roof opens up so that it's easy to inspect her and make sure she's okay without disturbing her too much. While she's brooding, we give her food and water in one of the nest boxes so that she can eat and drink without leaving the coop if she chooses to. If she does choose to leave the coop, she's got access to a lovely long run. Even though the chickens have a very large enclosure, we always try to put a run on to brood coops. Now this is not to keep her in, it's to keep other hens out. If we didn't have it, laying hens would come into the coop and force Gannet to off her nest site so that they can lay their eggs in the nest. So this is the safest way to make sure that as many of the eggs are hatching and they don't get broken. Your eggs have now hatched and your chicks are covered with a layer of down. Down doesn't actually keep your chicks warm. What they do in nature is they use the brood hen for that warmth, so they'll be out exploring the world, and when they get cold they'll burrow between the feathers underneath mum and have skin on skin contact, and she will actually physically warm them up using her own body heat. If you've hatched your eggs using an artificial incubator, it's absolutely essential that you give those chicks an alternative heat source. Now a lot of people use heat lamps. We instead use an artificial brooder, and this is the one that we use. It's by Titan Incubators, and all it is a flat plate which has a heating element inside with adjustable legs. Now I think you can see there that we've actually set the legs at different heights, so low on that side, high on this side, and what that means is your chick can find the right height for it. So if it's only just got out of the egg, it's exhausted and all it wants to do is lie flat and recover, it can go under this end where it can get much closer to the heat source. Once it's stronger and starts to wander around a little bit, it can stand up under this side but still get some heat. If you've hatched using a Broody hen, I still recommend buying an artificial brooder. The reason I say that is sometimes the brood hen can just wander off, leaving viable eggs or newly hatched chicks. It may be that she's decided that the chick isn't viable, or it may be that she's already got a huge group of healthy chicks who need to be out foraging for food and she can't wait for the last eggs to hatch. Now what I do in those circumstances is I scoop them up, bring them in, pop them under the artificial brooder. Probably 75% of the time those chicks are actually saved and grow up to be good, strong, healthy chickens. Now in that regard, I believe the brood plate has actually paid for itself time and time again, so the investment has been very worthwhile. It's worth thinking about the feeders for your chicks. This is our grandpa's feeder that we use for the chickens. Now this prevents the loss of food for wild birds and reduces the risks of attracting rodents, because it's a treadle feeder which is calibrated to open when an adult chicken steps on the treadle. Clearly chicks are far too small to operate it, so during the day we'll have it open so the chicks can reach in to eat. They still can't do this until they are 2 weeks old, as they aren't tall enough to reach over. Until the chicks are at least 2 weeks old, we make sure they have access to an open feeder like this one. It's simple to fill, the green top can be removed and you simply add food into the central funnel. And this is the food we give our chicks until they are at least 4 weeks old, when we will move them on to grow as pellets. Most people give their chicks chick crumb, but the problem with chick crumb is that it's very messy, with chicks and hens depositing it everywhere around the feeders. This is a micro pellet that is much less wasteful. The pellets are so small that even day-old chicks can eat it. The micro pellets that we buy are made by a UK firm called Duffield's Feeds. Drinkers for your chicks should be considered. For chicks under 2 days old, we tend to allow them access to drinkers which are no larger than 3 litres in size. Some chicken keepers will put pebbles in the drinkers to reduce the risk of small chicks drowning, but we've never had that problem, possibly because broody hens will show the chicks how to drink safely. Chicks which are hatched in an incubator just won't have that advantage. After 2 days, our broody hens take their chicks out and they all use the large field drinkers, and again this has never been a problem for us. Finally, the chicks will need room to play. Over the weeks they become more mobile, so the more room they have, the better. So there you have it. Hopefully that's everything you need to know to start breeding chickens for the very first time. Now if you still have questions, please just leave me a comment and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. If you did like the video, please give us a thumbs up on the ratings. And if you click the subscribe button and the notifications icon, you'll know as soon as any new videos go live. So join us again and we look forward to seeing you.